Okay, from my humble beginnings back in 1990, I started with $274, and I still have the bank ledger on that. Used truck with no air conditioning and not enough HVAC experience. If I was counseling someone today or coaching someone today, rather, I'd probably tell them get a little more experience. Zero business experience. I actually took a general business class in high school, and I think I got a C minus. And I read the book, Business by the Book, eventually, probably first or second year in business. But starting out, I just had zero experience in business other than a paper route and a vegetable route that I had. A lot of people ask, what's a vegetable route? Well, we would ride in the back of pickup trucks, grab a basket full of vegetables, and go door to door and see if we could sell them all. That was a vegetable route. And I think we got something like $1 a basket. You know, you sell 10, 15, 20 baskets, you get 15, 20 bucks, and that's just the way it was. And that was, I guess, a lot of money back then for a 13, 14, 15-year-old. But anyway, that was it. And the first year in business, we did less than $100,000. I mean, and that came from a lot of hustling and going door to door and making a lot of phone calls. I mean, a lot, hundreds, thousands of phone calls. But, today we're number one in our market. We're a multi-million-dollar company we're very unique in our market, or not just in our market, but in our industry, because we figured out how to have above average net margins, which is more important than gross margins. So, and we can do that, by the way, without underpaying people and without overcharging customers. We just have figured it out, and it works for us, but it took me quite a while to figure that out. When people ask me often, did you ever imagine? Because I've basically had my business, let's say, appraised, and it is appraised for much, much, much more than I ever imagined when I first started out. I mean, who ever imagines that? We could sit here and say I had the best vision, the best goals, and I knew I was going to do this amount, and I knew my business was going to be worth this, but I'd be lying, because when I talk to people like Ken Goodrich, who previously owned Gettle, and when I talk to Dave Musial, who still runs Four Seasons out of Chicago, both of them guys say, I never dreamed, we'd get this big and my business would be worth this much. Never. And they're some of the best business people in the industry. So I get the same answers from them that you're going to get from me a lot of times. So today we're going to be discussing focus and fortune. It's an entrepreneur's edge. Hey, this is Greg McAfee, and welcome to the Greg McAfee Show. Now let's get started. Welcome back to the Greg McAfee Show, where we discuss steps to successful entrepreneurship, how to take your business to new heights, and ultimately follow your dreams. You know, the entrepreneurs who know what they want, they know how successful they want to be, are typically more disciplined and wealthier later in life than others. And let me describe this type of entrepreneur, because it's not just an entrepreneur. First of all, we already know that 95% of businesses go under within the first 5 years. 95%. That leaves 5%. And out of those 5% that actually make it, some of them make it just because they're a one or two man shop. All they want to do is make just enough to get by without having to work for someone. Now, you could call that an entrepreneur. I don't typically call them entrepreneurs. You know, I call them one-man, two-man shops that just want to get by and have what they think is a business. Nothing against those people. That's what they want to do. But I can tell you this. If you're listening to this show, you are probably not one of those. You're probably a go-getter. You appreciate the passion. You appreciate the hard work. You appreciate the effort. And that's why you're listening to this show. You want to grow, you want to scale, and you want to do it right. And a lot of you like it because we're the clean version. You're not going to hear any F-bombs or GD bombs or anything else on this show. But let me describe this type of entrepreneur for you. They're disciplined. They're focused. They're innovative. They're innovative problem solvers. They're risk takers. And they make calculated moves. They're lifelong learners. I just did the word of the day the other day was be a sponge for success. You've got to be a sponge. You've got to dip that sponge down in there and bring it back up full of wisdom and full of good content and full of things you can apply in your life. And they're exceptional time managers. Not always the best, but exceptional time managers. They're network builders. They go out and meet people. They're hustlers. They hustle. They make things happen. They're not afraid to work 12, 15, 20 hours in a row. They've had to. And a lot of them are generous. They're impact-oriented. And they're humble, yet confident. It's amazing. I meet some people worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're extremely humble, but yet they're extremely confident. Okay? They don't have to tell you what they're worth. They don't have to tell you how good they are. They've worked extremely hard. They don't deserve anything, but they've earned it all. Think about that. Now, these types of people have this. This is so good. They have a clear vision which drives success. These entrepreneurs with a clear vision understand their goals and can focus their time and energy on activities that yield the greatest result. So they're not just working in their business, they're working on their business for the best results. And this type of clarity eliminates distractions and encourages discipline. And number 2, purpose creates motivation. You see, knowing what you want fuels intrinsic motivation. This drive helps us stay disciplined even during challenging times. It propels us toward our goals. And number 3, strategic planning reduces waste. We don't like waste. We don't like wasted time. We don't like wasted money. We don't like waste. A well-defined goal allows us to create strategic plans, optimizing time, resources, and energy. And this is called efficiency. And it contributes to better financial outcomes. Remember, this podcast is called Focus and Fortune. It's our edge. It's the entrepreneur's edge. Everybody needs an edge. What's your edge? It's focus. The byproduct of focus, staying focused for many years, is fortune. It's wealth. It's created naturally. You do certain things in a company, in a business. You have a certain mindset. The byproduct of that is wealth, fortune, many times. And I know it takes a lot of handling money correctly. It takes a lot of strategic planning. It takes a lot of all this to get there. So number 4, goal setting encourages accountability. You see, entrepreneurs with clear ambitions often set measurable goals and hold themselves accountable. And yes, we are harder on ourselves than anyone could possibly be. And this habit fosters discipline and ensures steady progress along the way. And I'll tell you, a lot of times when I started with that $274, my main goal, I've told you this before, my main goal was to stay afloat. I didn't have, the first couple of years, I didn't have much of a vision. My vision was to stay afloat. I didn't want all those people who said he'll never make it to be right. That was my goal. I didn't have all these grand and glorious visions and goals. My goal was to stay afloat. My goal was to prove them wrong. Get it? A lot of you have been there, done that, and are right there now. So stay afloat. Keep going. Keep moving. Keep pushing. Stay positive. It's easy to get down. There are times when my phone didn't ring for 2 weeks in the second year. I could have easily thrown in the towel. No. Oh, no. It's time to work harder. It's time to call on more people. It's time to make things happen. So, number 5 is decision-making becomes easier. The longer you do things, the more experience you gain, your decision builds up, and it becomes easier. A lot of times people will go, how did you know that? Well, I've run into it 15, 20 times. Kobe Bryant once said something about, when you're in the last few seconds of the game, and it's up to you to hit that basket to win. At first, it's extremely nervous, but after you've done it hundreds of times, that's your job. Make the basket. Let's win. Let's get out of here.
You want the ball. You want to take the last shot. Absolutely. I'm not afraid to fail, and I just love it. It's just an adrenaline rush. 9 seconds. Everybody in the crowd stands up, and everybody's waiting to see if you're going to make the shot, if you're going to lose the game, or you're going to win the game.
Kobe ties the score with 2 seconds left.
It's just an unbelievable rush. Sorry, I just got lost for a second.
And it's the same way for an entrepreneur. So a strong sense of direction simplifies decision-making. We can quickly identify which opportunities align with our goals and avoid wasting time and money on unproductive ventures. And I've been there, I've done that, I've learned from it. I got the t-shirt on how to waste money in the wrong venture. And I will try to never do that again. Okay? And then you've got consistency builds habits. Wow. Knowing the why behind our ambitions fosters consistent action. And over time, these small disciplined habits, read the book, Atomic Habits. James Clear, excellent book. Read it 4 times. But these disciplined habits compound to create significant success and wealth. Again, the byproduct. It's the byproduct of creating positive habits in business, having things done a certain way, wanting things done a certain way, wanting things to look a certain way, wanting customers to be taken care of a certain way, wanting team members to be taken care of a certain way. That creates habits. This is the way we do it. And then the management team, the leadership team, it becomes a habit in their life. A lot of things that when people come in here for the first time, they don't understand why we do the certain things, but they couldn't do without it now. They just couldn't do without it. It became a habit in their life. And a lot of people have said this place is so clean that it has motivated them to keep their place at home cleaner and certain areas cleaner and more detailed and stuff like that, because it's a habit here. You're here. A lot of times you're at your job more than you are at home, and you just get used to things. It's called a habit, a positive habit. Okay. Number 7, long-term thinking enhances wealth accumulation. Long-term thinking. Clarity about a desired level of success enables us to make long-term financial decisions, such as investing, scaling, and reinvesting profits wisely. I've said this before, but for the first 15 to 20 years, let's go a little further than that, 20 to 25 years, 100% of our profits got reinvested in the business. Greg wasn't taking it out and buying stuff. Now, eventually he did. He earned that, and it was available. But for years, everything got reinvested. reinvest, trucks, equipment, people, training, all that stuff, reinvested. I never took anything out. My payroll is at the lowest of low to pass the IRS test. This is the least he can pay himself. And for years it was a lot less than that. I have other ways to earn my income today. The company's first. It has to keep growing. It has to stay alive. It provides many jobs. And that's just how I think. That's how I coach people. That's what I recommend to people getting started the first 5-10 years, whatever you do, depending on where you're at as well. If you're in a certain climate, you can blow my company up pretty fast. If you're in a certain climate. I'm in Dayton, Ohio. The first 10 days, look this up. The first 10 days of November was in the high 60s, low 70s. Are you kidding me? And we have no control over that. You know, I often joke and say, I'm working on that. I'm working on controlling that. But right now I have zero control of weather. Okay, so think about that. Number 8, resilience against setbacks. A well-defined sense of purpose equips us to bounce back from failures more effectively. We're going to have failure after failure after failure, and the more you're involved in, and the more you try, and the more risks you take, the more failures you're going to have. Our focus keeps us grounded and disciplined, ensuring that our setbacks don't derail our journey. And lastly, number 9, inspiration and influence opens doors, opens opportunity. Entrepreneurs with clear goals often inspire confidence in others. They see it, they want it. Now, not everybody does, you guys. Remember what I said. If you're disciplined and focused and innovative and risk-taking and lifelong learner, and you're exceptionally good at time management, and you're a network builder, and you're generous, and impact-oriented, and you're humble yet confident, then you'll get this. You'll have clear goals, and you will be inspired by other people. You know, at one time, I wrote articles for national publications, and Ken Goodrich said he read every one of those. I inspired him at one time. Today, he inspires me. Mark Swepston, my mentor for many, many years, 30-some years, he inspired me. He inspired me often. He still inspires me, but there are times where we meet and I inspire him. I've learned. I was grasshopper and I learned from the best. I was a sponge. Still am. This trust can lead to greater opportunities, investments, and collaborations, applying wealth potential. All right? And know this combination of clarity, focus, and disciplined action typically gives entrepreneurs, this kind of entrepreneur, a distinct advantage over those other entrepreneurs without clear goals and ambition. Now, there are some that will stay in business. They'll make some money. Most of the time, it's just enough to get by or just enough to live comfortably, whatever that means. So they're out there, and I like to eat them alive when we go up against them because we're light years ahead. We're constantly learning. If we get to go out there first and we don't close it on the first round, which we normally do, but if we get to go out there first on an estimate or sometimes service call, we're going to educate the customer where if they ever have anyone else back in that home, most of the time, these types of entrepreneurs who aren't motivated and energized and everything else and passionate, they don't know how to answer the customer because they're not familiar with what they're asking. Okay? Very sad for our industry, but it's very true. So this combination of clarity, focus, and disciplined action typically gives these kind of entrepreneurs a distinct advantage over those without those kind of clear goals. So let's go through this one more time. I'll put them up there. We'll wrap up with this. These types of entrepreneurs have clear vision that drives focus. They have purpose that creates motivation. They have strategic planning that reduces waste. They have goal setting that encourages accountability. They have decision making, which just helps things become easier, and it helps your decisions become easier as well. They have consistency that builds habits. They have long-term thinking that enhances wealth accumulation, and they have resilience against setbacks and inspiration and influence that opens doors. Is that good or what? Okay, before we wrap up, if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe below. You can also support this podcast by rating and reviewing on iTunes or your preferred listening platform. Keep listening. I'll do my best to keep challenging you, helping you to grow and prosper and become wealthy. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at The Greg McAfee Show. No spaces, no underscores. And be sure to tune in next week. Good possibility I'll have Jimmy Pacifico in here, but I've got to make sure within the next 2 weeks I know I will. Thanks for listening. As always, carry on. God bless. Make this day the best day of your life because we're not promised tomorrow. I'll see you later.